Tag TV and Tag Radio be seen and heard by both technology users and technology producers throughout the state of Georgia and around the world. Low cost, big benefits, powerhouse online branded video and audio has arrived. Tag TV, Tag Radio, there's a lot more to know. This edition of Tech Talk is brought to you by GlobalSpeak.com, new media consultants, corporate video and audio communications, video and audio production and distribution, live and virtual event production. Tag TV and Tag Radio is a service of GlobalSpeak.com, creatively delivering powerful marketing, video, and audio solutions. Summer's over. But you know what's really exciting? It's time to get back to school. Mom took you to the local store with a to-get list. You remember. Pencils, paper, notebooks, ruler, a cool lunchbox, and if you were really lucky, that 3-ring binder with your favorite comic book superhero on the front cover. Oh, that first day, a forest of kids waving their hands in the air, most wanting to ask one of the 2 big questions of the day. When do we go to lunch? Or even better, can I go to the bathroom? Well, if you think your work environment has changed or how you communicate with staff or employees has been affected by disruptive technology, welcome back, Carter. Education and technology are on a convergence fast-track crossroads where Sesame Street meets Star Trek. Greetings, everyone. It's Tuesday, November 29th, 2011, and this is Tech Talk with Technology Association of Georgia President Tino Mantella. Up to the Tech Talk, education, and the future of technology. Come with us now as we transport to Promethean world, where Active Express, a technologically advanced student response system, enables instructors to pose questions and for students to respond individually at their own pace and in real time. Assessments allow instructors to quickly evaluate which student needs assistance. No chalkboard in this world. Active Express works with Promethean's interactive whiteboard, and there's more, much, much more. You can even interact with other instructors in the world's largest interactive whiteboard community, created by teachers for teachers to connect, create, and change the classroom. Tino gains rare insights into the Atlanta-based Global Education Corporation as he tech talks the future for the company in business as well as government, teaching, learning, training, and communication with Promethean's President of Corporate and Government Divisions, Mark Elliott. Mark joined Promethean in 2005 as President of North American Markets. His 28 years of prior experience culminated with his appointment as Senior Director of Apple Computer's Education Division, managing solutions such as Apple Care, Apple Software, strategic initiatives, alliances, and channels. He spent 14 years at Burroughs Unisys, eventually being appointed Regional Director of Marketing. Prior, he held senior management positions and/or as President of Technical and Software Operations. If you don't know Promethean, get ready to go back to school. This company changes everything. Learn all about it as the Tech Talk turns to the future of education with Promethean President of Corporate and Government Division, Mark Elliott.
Mark, thanks for joining me on Tech Talk today.
Hey, Tino, it's great being here. Thanks for having us.
Well, I had the pleasure of touring Promethean a number of months ago as you guys became premier members, which we appreciate, and was really impressed with what you're doing. And I thought it was high time that we were able to let the TAG membership know about this through TAG Radio. So you could probably start out, be a great time to just explain what Promethean does and what your plans are for the future.
Yeah, well, Promethean, I can't say it without saying, we are a little bit special and I think unique. We were founded by a guy, Tony Khan, and his whole purpose was to give back to the world, and our approach has been, that if you can change the classroom, you can change the world. And so even though he has all sorts of companies and interests, very, very successful European businessman, he felt that it was a way to give back. And so Promethean was founded on that premise, and our whole approach for the 7 years that I've been here with the company has been in the 5 years, I guess, prior to that Promethean has been in business, was to change the world and change the classroom is the best way to do that. And we've taken a little bit of a paradigm, which was if I'm not learning the way you teach, maybe you should teach the way I learn. So our whole focus has been on kindergarten through the 12th grade, not even higher education, and doing everything we can to position technology in as a way to help teachers connect better and become more relevant with the people we have. So as a result, our company has grown from here in the United States. I started in 2005. We probably had 2,500 classrooms. We've got close to over 400,000 in the United States now. Market penetrations in the 40% range in the classrooms. Globally, we're approaching $500 million in sales, over 1,000 employees, and I guess 900 to 950,000 classrooms. With a complete system of interactive whiteboards and learner response devices, and then software and connectivity tools to bring together a complete ecosystem affecting the education market, and now moving into the business and government sectors as well.
Yeah, well, we want to talk a little bit about the business because I think that's interesting. It just seems like a natural progression for you guys. But before we do that,
okay.
First of all, I think it's important for the listeners to know that you are headquartered, at least your U.S. headquarters are here in Alpharetta, Georgia, right? Is that the location?
Yeah, we're here. Our CEO's here, Chief Marketing Officer, the guy who heads up, president of our learner response group. So we've got a little more than half of our senior management team here. So, for a lot of intents and purposes, it's almost dual headquarters. But for legal reason, I guess we went public on the London Stock Exchange. So, but we're very much, I guess, 2/3, 60% of our business comes out of the North America market.
And just so that everybody understands what you actually do, because when I was touring your facility, there was conversation about improving test scores through use of the Promethean products and services. So I guess that ties into what you guys call the active classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And talk a little bit about, from layman's terms, so a fifth grader goes into his class or her class, what are they going to see, what are they going to use, what kind of impacts are going to have?
I think probably the easiest way is to start by what do they usually have at home. And what they've got at home, or a lot of the children have, is, they've got iPads, they've got iPhones, they've got Internet connectivity, and then what they haven't had when they come to school is the connection to all of that in the past. I've used this a couple of times. There's historically been more technology in a police car than there was in a classroom. And so having the technology in a format that teachers can use and tie to the children who expect that. We've heard multiple times children say, when they go to school, it's like punishment, and they have to power off before they can really get back to learning when they get home, because our children today are they're wired to be multi-processing entities, and so that's what they are, and to go back to traditional methods is difficult. So that's why our approach of I'm not learning the way you teach, maybe you should teach the way I learn. What we've done is we've taken teachers, and 60% of our people in North America that face the customers are former teachers, and we've said, how would you use this, and design products and all of the infrastructure and the ecosystem surrounding that so that a teacher can use this incredible technology of interactivity and computers and the Internet and everything that's available outside the classroom and make it available in the classroom. So that's what we try to do, is bring it all home, make it simple, give the teachers things like lesson plans that they can work from, that they share. We've got a site called Promethean Plan that's got over, I guess, 1.2 million users right now, and they share lessons. And we correlated these lessons to state standards, so you can use one in Indiana in the 4th grade, and it may be in the 3rd grade here in the state of Georgia, but it still correlates so that they don't have to do the work from the ground up. They can go in and spend time, enhancing and teaching as opposed to preparing. And so we just tried to look at it from a total gestaltic, all-encompassing approach there, and what would we need if I were teaching to make this as effective as possible. And then as a result, we're seeing, and there have been tests and studies that have been done to show that what everybody, I think, knows intuitively is that if you make learning interesting and engaging, and you appeal to the different learning styles, whether it's auditory, visual, or the kinesthetic, that you're going to get enhanced achievement, and that's in fact what's happening. There was a study done by a gentleman named Dr. Bob Marzano, who is an eminent recognized expert in the field of educational technology and research, and with his study, he can show through his statistical analysis and all of the work that he's done that in general you could expect a 16 percentile improvement by using our interactive whiteboards and learner response devices in a normal classroom environment. So that's the difference between failing or passing and behind getting federal funds or not getting federal funds. So it's made a huge impact.
Well, you mentioned earlier in the conversation that this idea that, when the kids come into school, leave anything that's digital, mobile off, and then you're expected to learn it. It's interesting. I've been reading in the paper the last couple of weeks that in Georgia, at least, they're starting to change their thinking, maybe a little slower than we would like, but there's a number of schools now that seem to be adopting the idea that maybe it isn't such a bad idea to let youth use what they are using at home and in school. So do you see a trend heading that way then?
Yeah, I think there's no question, and it's starting with the teachers that are there, because now the teachers are seeing that they're realizing the vision that they went into teaching to do. I've had so many teachers say that they went into teaching and then they became disciplinarians, and now with technology they're back in and they're getting the students engaged to where they're excited about learning, and that's what they wanted. And so you're seeing the teachers that are embracing this, and the students are going on, and then the parents. I mean, the biggest thing that you want for your child is to be able to have that child get a great education. And so we're just seeing that everywhere, that the funding that's coming through local option sales tax, a SPOS here, and across the country, we're not seeing any issues. Our company has grown consistently year after year. We had a little bit of a downturn last year with the fourth quarter with elections and with moving away from federal stimulus funds to school districts having to come up with where they could fund it themselves. But in general, I think that in the state of Georgia, absolutely, we've got classrooms throughout the state, Forsyth County, Upson County, that have gone standard. We have 2,500 in Forsyth County, DeKalb County, Fulton County, Douglas, Hall County, Newton County. They're all going with this technology, and I just can't see that anybody would. There's just no negatives to this, other than a learning curve to get them past the initial fear, and then after that, it's. We've had teachers that are buying these when they've been rezoned into districts that didn't have Promethean with anniversary money and for birthday gifts and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's real. It's not something that's a passing fad, and it's just intuitive. You go into a classroom where the teacher's been trained and just watch them, and you'll see that they are learning and they're in school for what we want them to be there for, is to enhance their ability to compete and be able to be effective in the world of tomorrow and today in the business world, and that's the tools that, we're providing.
You admit, obviously, you're a global company, and you had some amazing stats there at the beginning of our conversation about how much you're selling overseas. Are we, is U.S. behind the curve on this one, too, in terms of what countries are, buying the most of your products and services or seem to be more advanced in terms of adapting to or adopting?
This is one I think we can be pretty proud of the United States.
Okay.
The technology started with Tony Blair's government in late 1990s and early 2000, where they made a platform to make education a major part of what they were going to be offering there. And so they put money in that created basically the ability for schools to go in and put interactive whiteboards and the ancillary peripheral technology with it. The UK now has 85 to 90% of the classrooms with penetration, and this is all by FutureSource, which tracks all of these. The United States would probably be, I think the last I saw was 40 to 42% of the classrooms in the United States now have interactive whiteboard technologies. Mexico, back in 2006, put interactive whiteboards in every, I think it was in the 5th and 6th grade, and it was like 160,000 there. But we're seeing it, all over the country. The Philippines just recently ordered 1,500, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Italy, 8,000 boards that they purchased. So we're seeing this pretty much just taking off across the entire world, even in less developed countries where they're seeing that this is the best thing that they can do to enhance their overall economic climate and growth is to build their school systems.
Well, I don't want to let this conversation end until we talk a little bit about your movement into the business side. It certainly made sense to me that you go into schools and you're seeing all this interactive whiteboards and how people can communicate and convey, and of course we do that to some degree by laptops and all, but I saw the demo with how this will apply to businesses, and it sure makes a lot of sense. Are you guys getting some traction on that end?
It's incredible how much traction, because we, my heart was in education. I was with Apple prior to joining Promethean, and that was part of our DNA there, and we certainly brought it here, and along with a lot of the people that I brought with me from Apple. But moving into the business and government, I guess there were a couple of things that precipitated that for us. One is that we were using this technology in our own business. We're global. We have manufacturing in China, and then we've got software development in Seattle and in the UK, and we've got offices in most major cities. And so working together collaboratively, we're affected by everybody else, the desire to reduce travel expenses and costs, and just to be able to communicate, quickly without having to schedule 2 days worth of time for a meeting when all you need is an hour. But with the travel and all the other consideration, it's difficult. And the technology is such, driven by companies like Cisco and AT&T and Microsoft and a global grouping called Unified Communication. There's no reason why you can't have virtual meetings today, and all we do is provide a very large screen capability that allows people to see in a group environment and then interact without any difficulty in tying these locations together. So I could be in China and I could be writing on the board, and it's an 87 or 95-inch screen, and then it shows up here in Atlanta and also in Blackburn, England, and then we're writing and discussing and talking all at the same time. So we saw all of that happening, and we said, well, if it works for us, why wouldn't it work for others? And so our competition had already made that move. They started a lot of them in that area, and so we'd stayed away. But a good percentage of the business our competitors are doing is in that market, so we decided it was time to move. And so we're bringing those capabilities we did in the education side into the business and government, and we think that the disadvantages that recession has on companies may be an advantage for us, in that everybody's looking more closely at how they can reduce expenses, and this is an outstanding way to do that. And the technology is there, and we're just part of the solution, again, with the telcos and with the Ciscos and Microsoft and Citrix and Adobes and others that are enhancing that. So all of the stars were aligning, and we been very successful. We started in February, and we've got over 300 customers now from Army, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard, manufacturers, banking, fire departments, you name it, big companies, and we're seeing just a tremendous receptivity. So we're very upbeat about what the possibilities are for this in the business and government world.
Well, Mark, enjoyed conversation with you today, and congratulations on Promethean and the advancement of the business and what you're doing to impact our education system and soon to be, I guess, already starting to impact the way we do business. And thanks for joining me on Tech Talk.
Hey, thank you for having us on Tech Talk, and thanks for inviting us to be a part of the TAG family.